Hey everyone, I hope you all are doing great. I know it's been like a super long time since I made a video. Lots of people have been yelling at me on my YouTube and my Instagram comments, and I'm so sorry, but like I've honestly tried making content in like the past semester. I just didn't like it. I do have like a bunch of spring break clips from when I went to Thailand that I was like planning on vlogging, but I didn't know if you guys would be interested in that. So if you guys are interested in a vlog of my trip to Thailand for spring break, let me know and I can like put that content together and upload it. But besides all of that, that's the past. We're now in the present. This video today is going to be about comparing 1L and 2L years. So right now I am weeks away from finishing my second year of law school. I really don't want to count down because that will just show me how much closer I am to finals, and I'll probably start panicking. But yeah, so I'm weeks away from finishing my second year of law school. Obviously, I've completed my first year already, so I feel like I'm in the perfect position right now to make this video comparing 1L year and 2L year. So just to start off, if I could give like a sentence explanation of 1L year, I would say it's the scariest thing you've ever done, and it's honestly pretty hard. 2L year, I would say you're in control of your own destiny. I'll start off by talking about like classes. So as you probably know, if you're interested in going to law school, I'm sure you've explored this, but 1L year, all of your classes are picked for you, the times, the professors, the people who are in those classes, everything is selected for you. Emory, like the week before school started, they just sent it to us and said, here you go, this is what you're taking, this is when you're going to take it, and this is who you have as a professor. 2L year, it's totally different. Emory, I think we have like 2 required courses during 2L year, and those are evidence and child techniques, which we take during the fall. And you still have a little bit of like leeway. You get to choose what time you want to take it, with what professor you want to take it. I mean, granted, the options are limited, but there is still some leeway there. But other than that, you can basically choose whatever classes you want. So some things to consider, I've been like reiterating this already, when selecting the classes that you want to take are the professors, the time that it's at. I chose a lot of early morning classes this semester, and I don't know why, because I am not a morning person. In fact, today we had final presentations for my legal blogging class, and it was like, class started at 9. I woke up at 9:05, and I didn't even, this is gross, but I literally just put some mouthwash in, spit it out, threw some clothes on, and ran out the door. Like, I didn't even wipe my eyes. I was in the car, like, trying to watch. It was horrible, but it was like final presentations, and I didn't want to miss it. So, yeah, I ran there. I still got there super late. I don't think 3L year I'll be taking any early morning classes if I can avoid it. So what else? What are some other things to consider? Obviously, the subject matter. So this year I had the opportunity to explore a lot of the things that I'm interested in. So for example, I took several IP classes, I took trademarks, I was in the Tiger program, which I've told you all about before. I'm currently enrolled in legal blogging, as I just told you guys. That's honestly my favorite class this semester. Another big thing to consider is how much reading the course has. Someone had asked me this on one of my comments, like, do you read as much 2L year as you do 1L year? And it honestly depends on the class. So 1L year is very reading heavy. You'll have reading assignments in every class every night. 2L year, there is still a lot of reading because obviously it's law school. You know, you read cases. That's kind of just the natural like assignment in law school. But another difference is if the class is bar related or not. So the bar tests several different areas, but there are certain areas that are not on the bar. For example, IP is intellectual property is not on the bar, so that differs. That makes the class a little bit different than it would your average bar tested class, such as like torts or contracts evidence, criminal procedure, things like that. So also another weird one that's on the bar is like family law. So that's another thing to consider. Even the reading doesn't really dictate if it's a bar class or not, but that's another reason to take a class, is because it's a bar class. And finally, another important thing to consider is if the class has a final or not, and what type of final. So all classes, of course, are going to have like some, say, cumulative project. However, the project can differ. So you can have a regular like in-class 3-hour final. It may be a take-home final. So last year in First Amendment law, I had a take-home final. We got it on the last day of class, and it was due after finals. So we had like 3 weeks to do it, but it was still horrible. I don't know if I would ever do another class with the take-home final. It just wasn't for me, because like I'm a perfectionist. So I felt like I spent a lot of time doing this at-home final, whereas if I would have just sat down in class, I would have had 3 hours, but I spent way more than 3 hours doing this take-home final, and I still didn't get the grade that I wanted, so it's pretty disappointing. But then other classes have final projects. I know like contract drafting classes and stuff have a final project, and my legal blogging class that I'm taking right now, we actually have a final project. We had to complete a blog. Blog. I'll actually share that with you guys. I'll probably put a link in the bottom of this video. So my subject was content creators and like laws that affect them. And obviously I'm a content creator, so it's something I was really interested in, and I had so much fun doing this final project. So I would, take that class over and over again if I could. But all 1L classes besides like legal writing typically have like a sit down 3 or 4 hour final during the exam period, and that's like the only option. There isn't many other options as a 1L. So as you advance further, you can have less finals. So for example, this semester I only have 2 finals, one in criminal procedure and one in intellectual property. So those are things to consider. It does get easier, in my opinion, when it comes to like exam season as you progress up, because there are less finals. So other things to think about when it comes to classes in 1L year versus 2L year. 1L year, your professors are most likely going to cold call. But I've learned that as a 2L, the cold calling isn't as intense. One of my professors does still like to cold call a lot. Another one of my professors, he only takes volunteers. So it really depends on the professor, but I think 2L year has a lot less cold calling. And then 1L year, professors tended to take attendance. Not every professor did, but I felt like more professors took attendance than didn't take attendance. And this semester, some of my professors do take attendance, but I don't think attendance I think it's based on the professor, not based on your classification. So if you're a 1L, 2L, or 3L, it really doesn't matter. It's just up to the professor's discretion. So another thing that I wanted to talk about was extracurricular activities. So during your 1L year, you really don't have a chance to get involved in any extracurricular activities. There are some exceptions. For example, Emory Balsa participates in the Balsa Moot Court and mock trial competitions, and that's something that 1Ls can be involved in. And also, I think there's like a alternative dispute resolution team, and 1Ls can be involved in that. But as far as being on like the Emory mock trial team or the Emory moot court team or like the journals, those opportunities don't become available to you until 2L year. But you do start focusing on that in 1L year. So I know like 1L spring, there's tryouts for most of those activities. So a good thing about these activities is during your 2L year, you're most likely going to get credit for that. So that's even one less class that you have to take because you're getting the credits from elsewhere. During 2L year, you also have the opportunity to start doing externships, and I feel like externships is like the best way to define your own legal destiny. Unfortunately, I haven't had any externships. I applied for some for 3L year. I didn't get any offers, so I'm still applying for more, and hopefully I get something, because I really want to, try out different types of law during my 3L year and just figure out exactly what I want to do. Because 2L year, I did participate in like moot court, and I was in the Tiger program, but I still feel like my legal destiny hasn't been defined, and I feel like 2L and 3L year are for that. So the next thing I want to talk about is relationships. So I felt like I went into 2L year like I'm going to find all these friends, and that's my goal for 2L year. Or just not necessarily friends, but I'm going to interact with my colleagues more. But I noticed that as soon as 2L year started, everyone still had their cliques from 1L year. And even me, like I had my friends from 1L year, and those were still my friends in 2L year. But it's actually more challenging than you think to build relationships 2L year. So I would challenge you to do that during your 1L year. I mean, there is an exception to that. For example, like I was on the moot court team, and I did build some genuine relationships through that. My partner and then the other team I built a genuine relationship with them. So I see them in the hallway, and it's like, oh hey, hugs, whatever. But that's an exception, I think. And then another opportunity to make friends is with the transfers. So during 2L year, you'll just as you would, in first grade when you get a new student, going into second grade, it's honestly the same thing. So people will transfer from other law schools. But I felt just like from the inside looking out at the transfers, I felt like people weren't really inclusive. The transfers tend to click with each other. And I don't know if that's because that's just what they do, or if they just feel that the people who were already there the past year weren't as inclusive. So I know this year our BALSA tried to have like events with just the 2Ls. So the 2Ls who were there 1L year and the 2L transfers, just to make them feel more integrated in our 2L community. And 2L year is also a good time to build relationships with professors. So this is when you can, if you really had a professor that you liked and you thought, this professor could be of great help to you, I would advise you to take them during your 2L year. I mean, 1L year, you can build relationships with professors, but it's generally just going to their office, ask questions about the reading or like the final, because that's all you really care about. But 2L year, I feel like you get to know your professors more on a personal basis, because a lot of times the class sizes are smaller, or it's like a subject matter that you're really engaged with, you really care about, so you want to know about everything they do. You want to know about their practice. A lot of 2L professors are actually like practicing attorneys, and they just teach like 1 or 2 classes on the side. So it's a very different experience with professors as well, I feel. And then there's also like that, you have to do a directed research paper or a seminar paper, so you get to work with the professor side by side on that. So there's lots of opportunities to build relationships there. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is jobs. So 1L year, everyone's first semester, no one's really worried about getting a job. And then second semester, that's when you start worrying about your first summer job. A lot of 2Ls get their summer job before school starts in the fall. So for example, I found out what my summer job was going to be in August before school even began. And that's when like OCI will happen and things like that. But then there are a lot of other 2L years who spend most of their year networking, because they need to find the job. And, some still haven't even found a job, so they're still networking. So it really depends on your personal situation, how much, not necessarily how much networking you'll have to do, but how much focus you'll have to put on finding a job. But whereas I feel like 1L year, fall semester, every person is looking for a job, but 2L year, everyone's job search is different based on the type of law you want to do. Because I think that, or I know that big law are the jobs that tend to offer before the school even starts. Whereas if you want to do public interest, that'll probably be throughout the school year. Or if you want to do a small firm, that may even be towards the end of the school year. So I think everyone's job search is a little bit different during 2L year. So overall, I think that 1L year is just really hard, really stressful. Everyone's lost, everyone's confused. But 2L year is just a lot busier, and there are a lot more opportunities, but you're also more comfortable. You know how to take a final, you know how to read cases, things like that. So did I like 2L year or 1L year better? I honestly think if I had to decide, I would say I liked 1L year better. Because I felt challenged. 2L year, I'm too comfortable, y'all. Like, I'm way too comfortable. But 1L year, I felt engaged in law school. I was challenged. I wasn't focused on other things. So I'm excited to see what 3L brings. I'll be there soon. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.